They say a lot can happen in a year. And while that's a bit of a cliche, it's also very true. Most people I think apply that to things like, I don't know, working out, losing weight, making strides in their career, falling in love and having a family, or enduring a global pandemic. It has, for me, now been officially 1 year. A year ago, I remember going to the office for the last time to like work or whatever, and then going to the bar next door I always went to. And I remember, just drinking, and talking with the fellows at the bar. And then I shot over to Target to pick up some things before they closed. My Instagram, it's not called Instagram memory, but whatever, where you can see like, whatever you posted from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. It popped up to show that I'd go on to Target to buy like Advil, Tylenol, cough syrup. Because I was like, I rarely get sick. Like I don't get sick. So I don't even know what to buy to maybe help out in this situation. And me, I'm being naive. So I'm just like, okay, everyone says, get this, get that. This will help with the cough. This will help with, decongestion. I'm like, all right, bet. So I just got some stuff and really just kind of went about, just thinking that it's not going to be too bad. It's not going to be too bad. It's serious, but it's not going to be too bad, right? This was my mindset going into the pandemic a year ago. I remember my nephew and his family came out to visit. The thing was, I was excited for their visit, but I thought they were coming later. I thought that they were coming in April, but they ended up coming the weekend of like March 13th. And right before they came out was when, it was announced that LA was shutting down. Everything was shutting down. Disneyland and, other amusement parks were shutting down. And so when my nephew and his family came out here, well, first, before they came, I was just like, are you sure you want to make this trip? Maybe postpone it. Since nothing is going to be open, you're going to come out here and sit in the hotel? Like literally like everything was closing down because of this. But they still decided, they were going to come. I didn't get a chance to see them on that trip. They came out here. They ended up going to Las Vegas and then coming back, for I guess like their final night before flying back out. I didn't get a chance to see them that weekend. Hindsight, I really wish that I had. It would have been nice to, see some family before all this shit went down. Because I haven't seen my family in more than a year now. It's last January was the last time I saw family. That night that I spoke of, going to the bar before hitting Target, that was the last time that I saw any of the few friends that I've made out here. Actually, that is a lie. That is a lie. I've just lied to you, but I'll get to that later on. I gotta say, in the beginning, I took it seriously, but I wasn't afraid. There's some people that are just like, yeah, they said that, we were only gonna be, on lockdown for a couple of weeks, and I don't really recall that, but that might be true. I do remember that the last time, I guess I felt comfortable or whatever, I went to the supermarket. And this was when, this was before mask mandates, anything, they were just like, masks, yeah. So I remember going to the grocery store. This had to have been like March 24th or 25th of last year. So I go to the grocery store, no mask, get to the grocery store, they squirt sanitizer on my hand before I can get the basket. And I remember, picking up all the things that I thought I would need. I remember that there was no spaghetti. I don't think I looked for toilet paper or anything at that time because I was good on toilet paper. Certainly didn't think that there was any reason to like stock up on toilet paper. But yeah, got my groceries and came home. Like I said, if that was March 25th, I did not leave my building for good like 40 days. Like my building. Like I did not step outside of my building for like the next month and change. I left my apartment. I had to leave my apartment to like check the mail, to do laundry, But as far as the building, like I was inside my building for the remainder of March and the entirety of April. And it wasn't until some point in May that I actually ventured out of my building. And I think the only reason I did that is because I made the decision to buy a car. And I had to print out and sign paperwork and do all this bullshit that I was unhappy with because by this point I was fucking frightened. And I was really unhappy that I had to actually like print out and sign this form and fax it to the dealership. So I made the trek to my old office because I was able, I lived close enough that I could walk. So I walked to my old office building, printed out what I needed, faxed the form to the dealership, and they brought the car to me. That was really why I went with this dealership, Carvana, because they were dropping the car off to me. I would have gone with CarMax's family, but at the time, I don't think CarMax was doing, I don't even know if CarMax does now. I think they have some sort of contact delivery system. They would have to, but at the time, that didn't seem to be an option. But Carvana offered it, so I went with Carvana. So for my CarMax people, that's why I didn't get my car from CarMax, even though I do know that it's the way car buying should be. Let me take a sip. The past year has been absolutely horrific. It's been terrible for a lot of people. I've been affected personally by the pandemic. Lost my cousin, Dion. Several friends have lost family members. Several people that I know have contracted COVID, and thankfully the majority of them, have made it. Although some are apparently long haulers. They're suffering, these conditions that seem to be chronic conditions, and that's one of the things that scared me the most about COVID. It's like, okay, it's one thing, to get sick and to suffer through it, but after you get better, to then have these conditions leave you fucked up for the rest of your life. My boy Mike was telling me about his friend who was like this super mega athlete, like super healthy, like whatever. Like this dude did decathlons for fun, Iron Man type shit, and caught COVID. And now he's fucked up. He's got like, a heart condition now or something like that. And it's just like, no. So it's been, just truly, truly horrific. But I also have to say, on a personal level, it's low key, this whole ordeal has low key kind of treated me well. I was already essentially working from home. So this big shift for most people to work from home wasn't a big shift for me. It was just essentially business as usual. We had an office space, but as some of you know if you've been watching, you know that we gave up that office space. So, I said goodbye and dropped off my keys and everything. And once, we officially like weren't tethered to like an office space, I realized that I could leave the neighborhood that I was living in because it wasn't the best. And with all of the shit that happened last summer with the protests and, just with people acting a fucking fool, I realized that I had to move. I was able to get a car. So in getting the car, I realized that not only could I move, but I didn't have to remain constrained to an area that was accessible to public transportation, because that's how I'd been getting around for the most part. Taking the train, taking the bus. I had no problem with that. It was what it was, especially coming from New York. And I live near the train, and the train dropped me off essentially underneath my office. Yeah, I had no problem with public transportation out here. But when my options broadened, it's like, okay. So I started looking, in different areas and found essentially my current spot. So I was able to get a car. I was able to move to a bigger, better apartment. Even though I had some initial issues when I made the move with my loud, noisy, fucking upstairs neighbors, I eventually settled into a situation that it's like that meme, right? Remember the days that you prayed for what you currently have. A year ago, I wouldn't have ever thought that I'd be in my present situation. And I have to say, I've really just been blessed. I knew that if I could get myself into something like what I'm in now, I knew that I'd be able to navigate this pandemic so much better. And that's essentially what's happened. I consider myself extremely blessed. I know a lot of people can't say that, and my heart goes out to them. And I do feel a little bit of guilt. I do feel bad a little bit, but I'm also just very, very, very fucking grateful, very thankful that I'm making it. Because we're still in the shit. They begun the vaccine rollout, and people are getting vaccinated. I'm actually happy to see a lot of people get vaccinated. People who are just like, oh, I'm not gonna. Shout out to my homegirl who's just like, she still doesn't fully trust it, but she's getting vaccinated because she plans on being a hoe this summer. Cheers to that. The vaccine rollout here in California is, it seems like it's getting better, but it started out as a complete shit show. So most of the people that I know that are, vaccinated or getting vaccinated, they don't live out here. They've mostly been like in New York or, in the South. Most of my family in Memphis, it seems like they're getting vaccinated. My people in New York, they're getting vaccinated. My boy Mike, who was out here and decided to go back to New York, this motherfucker, as soon as he gets back to New York, he has an appointment for vaccination. So we'll see. Our esteemed president has said that every adult should have the option to get vaccinated by May 1st. That works for me. May 1st is cool because I'm letting y'all know I'm traveling this year. I was very pissed with people who traveled last year when they didn't have to. Talk about motherfuckers just like crisscrossing the country like it wasn't nothing. Going down to Mexico, going down to the Caribbean, just to party and, be fucking foolish in the midst of a pandemic. It pissed me off because I didn't feel safe and, I miss my family and I miss my friends. And it pissed me off, and it just really came across as very entitled, very selfish behavior. A lot of people were just like, that's colonizer behavior, especially if you're like going like out of the country, going to spots where, yeah, they depend on tourism, they depend on our dollars, but you're going down there, you're getting sick, you're spreading the virus, you're bringing the virus back home and spreading it. It's just like, the fuck are y'all thinking? But I'm not gonna lie, looking at how things are working out, I feel like it'll be safer to travel later this year, especially with the numbers of people that are getting vaccinated. And yes, after I get vaccinated, I do plan on traveling. And I may even travel out of the country. And yeah, that might be hypocritical, but you know what? I can't do this shit for much longer. And also, there are some trips that I've already paid for, and I'm not letting that money go to waste. I'm just, letting y'all know. It's been a whole year. I haven't hugged anyone, haven't had sex, haven't really been social. The only person that I saw was my buddy Mike. And it was early. It was like right after I got my car. Like probably the week I got my car, I decided, you know what, fuck it. And I hit him up and said, hey, where are you? Are you at home? And went to his house, and he stood like on the sidewalk, the walkway to his house, and I stood in the street, and we like talked for maybe like 30, 45 minutes. And that is the last social interaction that I've had with any of my friends, like in person, since all this shit has begun. Sure, I've done Zooms. It's not the same. It's not the same. One thing I'm disappointed in myself is that I have not lost the weight that I wanted to lose. I'm going to the doctor soon, and I know that when I go to the doctor, he's going to be like, Jay, told you the last time I saw you. And that was like last June or July. It's like, I told you, you got to lose some weight. Blood pressure is, high. Got to cut back on just like a whole lot of shit. And I tried my best. I really did. Or maybe I didn't try my best, but I tried a little bit. I'm still fat. I'm still at the weight that I was, around about the weight that I was when I last saw the doctor. I think the scale that I bought might be a little faulty, but at the end of the day, I'm still hefty. And I don't want to be hefty. Like, I'm tired of it. At least I'm eating healthier. I'm not drinking as much. I swear to God, I'm not even drinking as much as I used to. A year ago, I used to drink every day. Every day. Just bars all around. I didn't even keep liquor in the apartment. I maybe kept like a bottle of vodka at the apartment, but I never drank it. Because I was always at a bar. But after a year of not being able to go to a bar and drink socially and, I don't really drink like that. Not even on the weekends. Like, this is a rare occurrence. I posted on Twitter, hey, let me go ahead and make a drink since I'm just sitting here. It's going to be really interesting once we fully move past this. I mean, thanks to people's behavior, COVID is with us forever. Like, it's not going away. But they say, over time it'll be just like the flu and, it'll mellow out. It won't be as deadly and maybe not as contagious. And, perhaps we'll have to get booster shots and, all this other stuff. But, we're going to have to live with it. And thinking about people's behaviors, how selfish a lot of people were, how willfully ignorant a lot of people were, the bad behavior that was exhibited, and also just how people got so easily swept up into like all these different conspiracy theories. Like, people that I know are educated, people that I know that are smart, that have sense, or at least I thought they had sense. It's just like, to witness how these people behaved, how this shit affected them. It's hella people that I'm gonna cut off. I know it's hella people that have cut me off or that are going to, because I don't buy into the bullshit. And I don't know that I'll be comfortable keeping these people in my life. It's like, y'all gotta go. Y'all have to go. So it is what it is. As my friend Fernanda posted on Twitter, the pandemic has changed everything. It truly has. This is where we are now. A fucking year.